Hi guys. Sorry, we had to start again because we had technical issues. Please confirm that you can hear me. Please confirm that you can hear me. I need to be sure that you can hear me so I can start. Okay, you can. So welcome again. I really apologize for the technical issues at the start. So I would start from the beginning. Hey, my mouth. But of course, if you don't know already, these sessions are powered by the Money with Club. Um, please subscribe to our newsletter and get fresh education every single week. Right, so we'll go right into it. The global news on the global space: British Petroleum shuns renewables to return to oil and gas. And please, if you can, I can see people. Please just let me know that you can see me and all is well right now. I apologize. I realized that I muted my what's it called, my microphone unintentionally. But yeah, British Petroleum shuns renewable energy to return to its traditional oil and gas. Now, what's the story here? This is really just highlighting the power of politics over business, right? No matter how amazing your business idea is, right? The environment, by environment, I mean the economic environment, regulatory environment, the political environment must support your business. It must, or else um, you will not thrive. And you need to be able to navigate the headwinds or whatever winds that comes from the environment. Why am I saying this? Because literally what's happening here is that a new sheriff has come into town, and he has changed the posture from reduced carbon emission, climate change, and all that to the point where we're going back to our regular oil and gas and all the carbon emission that comes from it. And the question from the new sheriff is, what is climate change really? And so what's happening is that businesses are aligning. It's as simple as that. In the most unashamed way, they are aligning. Why? Because if the wind is going in a certain direction, it just makes a lot of sense for you to go in that direction. Now, the fact also is that moving into renewable energy sources is actually high capital intensive, and it takes a longer time for you to recover your investment. Such that for any business that sees an opportunity that, oh, the environment is shifting towards what makes more money for me, they will jump at it. Now, the fact is this, right? For them, even though they shift back or they reduce their investment in renewables and go back to investing in um, regular oil and gas assets, they would make more money short term. However, if everybody goes in this direction, if all the energy companies go in this direction and increase their production of crude, what we might find is that there will be a glut in oil supply. And so that revenue that they think they would make, they might not make it because oil prices may come down. So it's not one of those things where you can say for sure that they would make money off this. Like in the long term, you make money of this. And then the let me not say the bad part, the other consequence is that we would still have the carbon emission that we're trying to avoid. So it's almost like, are we really making progress here? However, for me, the major thing is to understand that politics trumps your business, the idea, the decision on who is leading a country, and especially a significant country like America matters to everyone. It's important to know that. However, for the British companies, they would have to. There's a lot of work that needs to be done beyond just making that announcement, because there are some laws that were being put in place that they would have to thread carefully on. There might be some additional tariffs that will come up because of their carbon emission and their carbon footprint and stuff like that. So it's not just black and white. However, in the short term, shareholders are happy about it because for them they feel like, okay, this is now shorter term money. It's almost like, well, our money is coming closer to us, coming faster at us, right? And so they will expect better dividend, better revenue resulting in better dividend, and possibly a share buyback. Those are the kind of things that investors will be looking out from this kind of news. But most importantly, for you who may not be an investor in British Petroleum, um, when you are thinking about your investment, think about the environment that it is in, right? And the ability to navigate and be nimble. It is very, very important. Hi, Business Online. Good morning. Thanks for having us. Thanks for joining today. And the next news out of America, now out of the global space, is NVIDIA. Now, if you don't know NVIDIA, let me just explain how NVIDIA is. NVIDIA is literally an example of soldier come, soldier go, barracks go, stay. That is literally how NVIDIA is in the technology space. Because NVIDIA, they are providing support and what's it called? Products that serve gaming, that serve computers, that serve AI. They just everywhere. But what they are doing is literally soldier come, soldier go, barracks go stay. For those that don't understand, barracks will always be there. There'll be changing soldiers, but the barracks will always be there. That's how Nvidia is structured. So it's one of those companies where if you want to have like a stable long-term growth portfolio, um, and in the US market, Nvidia is one of those stocks that every analyst will recommend. Now, what happened earlier in the year was that there was an announcement of DeepSeek from China that was giving out their assets or their service for free or their product for free, right? And there was that crash in Nvidia stock price. Why? Because it felt like if this is free and Nvidia is paying for these things, will there be demand? Won't the market change, right? Will the market dynamics change? And so Nvidia stock price came down. Now we had a discussion in the club. If you don't know, these sessions are powered by the Money with Club, right? Maybe I should put up the link to the club. I will do so shortly. But we had a discussion about it, and some people were asking, "Oh, should they sell? What should they do?" And I was like, "See, are you an investor or are you a trader? If you are a trader, then sell and plan to buy back, sell and then close up your position. That's logical. But as an investor, when news comes, right, you have to look beyond the immediate to the long term impact of this news. Now, for NVIDIA, the question is do you know how many contracts for sale that they have signed? To deliver, because there's actually a scarcity of chips, for example. Do you know how many contracts that people have stayed on a queue to sign with them for them to deliver? Right? For you to say that a news that comes out today, they would unravel all that immediately for you to just dump your shares, right? Do you realize that there are political ties across countries that the adoption of DeepSeek might be harder in some certain areas? These are the kind of things to think about. So when you see news, I'm not saying disregard the news, but I'm saying let it be part of a puzzle as against the deal breaker, because there'll be plenty of news in the journey of any company and I dare say any human being. There'll be ups and there'll be downs. So what happened this week was that Nvidia came out with their earnings report for 2024, and it beat analyst expectations, right? And everybody is happy, right? Will there be competition? There will always be competition, no doubt. Will there be new things? Nvidia was a new bride at some point, if you get what I mean. However, you have to think longer. Nvidia as a company is so well established with its client base that it will take a lot of time, and the handwriting will be clearly on the wall for you to say that okay, this is a stock that you should actually dump, right? So just for you as an investor, there's a way to think about these things. Don't disregard the news, but let it be a part of the puzzle as against every news coming as a disruption. Some people are sliding to the banks anyway. I hope you're one of them. And if I can see people online, please, if you are, please say hi. I would like to just recognize you. And then up to Nigerian news. I think this is quite exciting news. There is a there's a financial crimes list, right? There's a gray list where countries that are seen to be supporters of illicit transactions, kind of thing, blah blah blah. There's one particular list, and what happens is that if you get on that list, you get your name, your country is when a country's name gets on that list, right? um all banks around the world puts transactions with that country on high alert, right? Now, Nigeria entered this gray list in 2021. If you are in Nigeria and you've been in Nigeria or you've been working, doing transactions, cross border transactions in the past 5 to 10 years, right? You realize that this season has been the hardest time for you to get transactions done. If you are wiring money from the States to Nigeria, the questions you would answer and the story you would tell is on. In fact, some people would have their banks shut down the transaction and say they are not going to execute the instruction on your own money. That's how bad it is. Now, why is this thing happening? Because we got on that list. Why did we get on that list? Because the list is reviewed annually and a new list comes out in October. And there's a particular standard that you must meet up with for you to stay off the list. Now, for whatever reason, we don't know, we did not meet up with the standard, right? I think we stepped up onto this point during Obasanjo's time, and then that's when EFCC was set up and all those things to meet up with the criteria, and to show that we're committed to fighting financial crimes, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. That's what it was, in meeting up with the standard of this list, that we set up those things. Now, what they are saying is that they are currently in what's it called, on track to get off that list by October this year. So the list is published every year in October, and the announcement is that we are going to get off that list in October. If you are doing cross-border transaction in Nigeria, trust me, you are praying that we should get off this list as quickly as possible. If you remember, there was an announcement when Mercury Bank said they're not going to be banking Nigerians anymore. Is this list that is the problem? If you have had any of those kind of cross-border issues where as soon as Nigeria just comes out, where there's a proof that there's a Nigerian link, your questions just become, this is the list that is the problem. So we are hoping, I am really hoping that we are able to meet up, because there's like the way it works is that they meet up with certain standard and have a meeting and they keep adjusting and adjusting until they get to that point. But the deadline is October. If they don't meet up with that, if we don't get an announcement that we are off that list in October, it's still next year, October. Your suffering continues. But we just hope. So this announcement that they are on track is good for everyone, and we hope that we are able to meet up by October this year. That would be excellent. It will also be good, and I mean, in terms of impact, it will be good in terms of getting investors into Nigeria. Why? Because a lot of solo investors, apart from like the ones that have had historical relationship with us, like the JP Morgans and co, who would naturally always trade with us. A lot of guys looking for emerging markets and new countries to enter into would not consider Nigeria, no matter how fantastic your idea is, just because of that list. Why? Because their compliance will just in and say, no, the amount of returns and reporting I'll have to do this transaction is not worth it. That's actually how these things happen. So there's a reason. It's not just that they don't like us. Know that. But if we're able to get on this list, it would help the economy significantly. So we're fingers crossed that we meet up with the timeline and we get off the list. Finally, Africa. Like we talk about global news, Africa news, and Nigerian news, but I switched it up today. So we are on Africa right now. In Africa, this is particularly exciting. The way I could explain it is, if you've seen the series The Men Who Built America, right? If you've seen that series, then you would realize that it was like 1 hour, less than 1 hour clips, telling story of someone's life that probably spanned like 10, 20 years. Like if you remember the story where they were laying the foundations, the tracks for the railway across America, that could not have been a 1 month project. It would have been taking years to deliver across Africa, to start pushing oil across the country, blah, 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 blah. Right? But it was collapsed into 1 year. And in retrospect, we are saying, oh, these were great guys. But you realize that in real time, there would have been ups and downs, there would have been lags, there would have been delays, blah, blah, blah. As much as we are saying that Africa is too slow, Africa is this, that, I personally believe that we are in the makings of a great Africa right now. And in retrospect, we'll look back and realize that, oh, we have actually made progress. It is very, very important to look from that lens. Why? Because this announcement that Kenyan KCB Group, which is a bank in East Africa that has presence in 7 East African countries, has plugged into the Pan-African payment system, is amazing news. Now, if I was going to buy something in Kenya from Nairobi, I will convert to USD, transfer USD to them, then the bank will convert to Kenyan shillings, right? Now, with this payment platform that is being set up, this payment integration that is being set up, what is going to happen is that you can do a Naira to shillings transaction directly. What that does is that you are taking away the exposure to global market drama, news, blah, blah, blah. You are talking to each other. There's no sentiment there. You're not going to go and demand for dollars to put pressure on the currency, on the reserves. You're just talking, yeah, everybody's just facing themselves, right? Now, what am I saying here is that this move is going to support the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement and the fact that African countries will start talking to each other directly. So, on the back of this, what we should now be seeing is logistics firms that will now start doing cross border, because right now, the bulk of the countries with banks signed up to this platform are in West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, I think Gabon, Senegal. Is it Senegal? I'm not sure of Senegal, Sha, but at least they are most of the current countries, apart from these new ones, are um, in West Africa. So what we are saying is that we have actually created a connection, a financial connection between West and Eastern Africa. It might look like it is slow, but we are building. A building never really comes up overnight. So the question for you is, how do you plug into this thing? How do you position yourself for this growth that would come, especially if you're in your 30s, your 40s? The fact is that a situation where there is a rail line from West to East Africa can actually happen in your lifetime. How are you positioned for it? How can you be the person that would be part of the project of building those rail lines? Because once there's financial connection, which is kind of easier, right, in terms of it's just a platform here, plugin. The next things that will start is service, trainings, exchange of knowledge, exchange of skills. Then the next thing that would pick up would be goods, because logistics needs to be the connection for logistics and delivery needs to be worked on also. But we are building. Are you part of it? Be aware that things are happening. And then finally, the last news here is that Kenya is trying to do a bond swap, or has done a bond swap. So I'm a bond trader. Like, in my heart of hearts, bonds is debt. That's my thing, right? So when I saw this, I just smiled. So basically, when you are managing a balance sheet, okay, I'm going technical. Let's rewind. When you have to manage the books of either a bank or a country, right? There's something called smoothing, where you don't want to have a day where there's like a significant amount of money you are moving out. You want to smoothen your cash flows as much as possible so you are not under duress at any point in time. It's called smoothing, right? And so what Kenya is doing is that they have like an expectation of a bond payment, right? In 2027. And they are saying that we are going to issue these new bonds, take this new bond, we'll sell this new bond, raise the cash, and use it to pay down this 2027 bond, and then smoothing out our cash flow so we are not under duress. Now, why is this important? Because the last bond issuance that they did in 2024, they had a maturity, right? They had a bond maturing, and then they had to do a euro bond sale. So let's say, I think it was either 1 million or 1.5 million. That was, I think it was $1 million, right? So they did a capital raise. No, I think it was 1.5. They did a capital raise for 1 million, and then they went to IMF, World Bank, for the remaining 500, meaning that they didn't have enough to pay everything at once. So what they are saying is that instead of us getting to that 2027 to have this kind of drama again, let's arrange ourselves, which I think is good, which I think it's foresight, it is planning, and it shows that they are trying to do different, right? So what does this mean for you as an investor? These are the kind of things that send a good signal. Remember, signal is very, very important when it comes to investing. It sends a good signal for the seriousness of the government to stabilize things. It sends a good signal when they successfully raise the euro bond issue. It means that investors are happy with Kenya and they're happy to stay with Kenya. So everybody, drink water, calm down. And also, there's also a chance that in that buyback, right? Because there's less supply of there's okay, let me not say there's less supply of bonds in that buyback for that tenor. I'm going technical. For that tenor bucket, that 2027 region, you would see that if they have other maturities around that, or other maturities around that one, there'll be more demand on it because people have gotten cash and they need to invest in something, right? That's technical, but what I'm saying, in the long run, yields might actually come down. All things being equal, all things being equal, as long as there's a success in the actual Eurobond. But for you as an investor, what am I saying? This sends a good signal to the global economy that Kenya is actually serious. They're thinking ahead, right? So if you are thinking of a country to do business with, to engage in, to buy their assets, that's what Kenya is signaling with this, that we are serious. Come and invest in us. Yeah. So, and I mean, just to highlight that even in the club, we actually did investments in Nairobi, Kenya in 2023 into 2024. So, yes, check us out, the Money With Club. Let me put the link up. And just finally, just to shout out that you should subscribe to this channel, share this video with a friend. Again, for the technical issues and stuff, and see you next week. Bye.